Call the meeting to order at 6 p.m. Trustee Candelaria Orr and Trustee Garrison are both absent. And if we can rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Thank you. Well, can I get an approval of the agenda order?
No changes.
No changes. Any?
It's going to be your guys'
Motions
sure.
and seconds.
We'll hear the motion and second.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Okay. We have a motion by Trustee Ogamian and a second by Trustee Kellogg. All in favor?
Aye.
Sounds like that's
Opposed?
going to be the theme for this.
And do I have to say every time Trustee Candelaria Orr and Trustee
No.
Garrison absent? Okay, and 2 absent.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so moving on to public comment on consent and non-agenda items. The public may address the board on any consent or non-agenda item. Pursuant to the Brown Act, during this period, the board cannot consider issues or take action on any item not listed on the agenda. Time is limited to 3 minutes per person per item, 20 minutes per topic. Seeing nobody here today, so I'm going to assume there's no public comment. And the consent calendar. The CUSD Board of Trustees utilizes a consent calendar for items that require the approval of the board, but are of routine nature. They act upon these items in one vote. Any member may remove an item for additional questions. Board members receive their agendas and backup materials 7 days in advance of our meetings. They have the opportunity to ask questions and to do research prior to our meeting. It is their intent to handle the routine items expeditiously so they have time to address issues that are more serious.
Motion to approve consent calendar.
Seconded.
And a second by Trustee Kellogg. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? And 2 trustees absent. So we will move on to association reports. Right? Yeah. And CSEA has no report tonight. I'm going to assume that TAC also has no report tonight.
Make a lot of assumptions.
I know, I'm assuming everything. And district reports. So K1 Jefferson Elementary School.
So I would just say that the principals you notice aren't here. Forrest is obviously moving on, so I allowed him just to go ahead and move on. And then Shauna actually has some family issues going on. And then Michelle just didn't feel it was right to keep her here. We didn't need to the rest of her here. So they said there was nothing really to add to any of the reports. So that's why they're not here.
K1, K2, and K3 are all as submitted. Special. K4 is as submitted.
And K5.
And K5 is as submitted. Okay. Board reports. Anyone like to give a report?
Well, I attended the middle school promotion, as well as the high school graduation, as well as a TK promotion. Although I would add maybe the TK be moved somewhere else because the cafeteria was packed. But they were cute.
I know, it's so adorable.
For me, it was my first ELAC.
Oh, right up here.
First ELAC, Washington School Open House, where it was really nice to get to clap for Mr. Ballard. I have to say that was a really nice moment. And I got to attend one day of the presentations at JEH, which was wonderful, and see 2 graduating seniors' presentations.
So on that note, for Mr. Ballard, we as a district also got him a plaque for his years of service. And we went and provided, I think it was during their one day that they had kind of their field day, I guess it would be called, yeah.
Yeah.
So he was, again, because he's not too much for being called out, right? So
Yeah.
it worked out good. Most of the teachers, the 7th grade teachers were there when we presented that, so it worked out, yeah.
Thank you. Board report. I attended E3 promotion, a boosters meeting, and a all coaches meeting held by our athletic director. I feel like the 100 days of May are still going into lightning fast June. I can't believe we're halfway through, so I'm probably forgetting things, but that's my board report. Superintendent report.
Yeah, so a couple things. We've been toying with the idea of looking at bringing to you guys a policy that talks about screen time for kids, to limit the screen time, like per grades and things like that too. We are in the infant processes right now because so it probably won't happen until like September, October-ish, because we want to make sure that all the staff understands and that staff be able to do that. But we're just kind of, right now, we're going to talk a little bit about that at our beginning of the year, professional development stuff with the staff to kind of open that. But right now, we're kind of getting information of what other districts are doing to do that. And again, we're talking things like, TK and K might have, would have like and we don't know if we're talking about a hard cap or if we're talking about a suggested cap, as far as that goes. And we're looking at, I think it was LA Unified, I think we looked at, right? It was like less than 30 minutes a day for certain ones. So then on up as it goes a little bit farther.
LA was a hard cap too, right?
For TK through fourth grade, I want to say. Yeah. So anyway, just want to kind of preview that for you guys. Also, I know we talked about this before, but August 4th at noon is going to be our open house over at our new building. So I'd like you guys to put that on your calendar because we're going to do the whole pomp and circumstance with the big scissors and the ribbon and the whole thing. The idea behind it is, not the idea, but what we're going to do, the plan is to have that. Bunting already sent it to the chamber. We're going to let people know. And then we're going to open a couple classrooms at each one of the buildings. And then also the reason why we're doing it that week is because that's the, what do they call it? The jump start. The jump start for TK. So there'll be kids there, which would be nice for people to be able to see. So, in that way we can have that. But the idea is just to really open up the gates, let people kind of wander in and out, because there's quite a bit to see, with the playground and everything like that too. So, and then we'll have people there like Michael and myself and probably Luis and everybody just to kind of answer any questions that people might have and such too. We'll probably have you and I say something, potentially.
Well, I just looked at my calendar.
So now you're going to be absent that I said that?
No, I just went to write it in. I don't know. I have to figure some things out.
Okay. And so that's why I'm trying to give you guys enough of a thing there too. So anyway, then I'll be able to talk a little bit about more on the report and discussion part.
All right. Report and discussion. N1, Measure H update.
So that's actually the update.
All right. As submitted. Now N2, trustee election.
Yeah, so trustee election. So what we're wondering, and what we put in your packet there was our board policy that says, as far as, you'll notice that our board policy talks about the district doesn't support candidates, right? Or positions and things like that. So we wanted to show you that, what our policy currently is, and then we're wondering for direction as far as, do you want us to send out open seats like via Parent Square? And I know we've already talked to the did we talk to the chamber?
No, we.
Anyway, to be able to talk to the chamber and kind of get the word out. But we wanted to make sure we were doing that in the spirit of you guys directing us to do that rather than just doing it for ourselves. And like I said, the main thing on the board policy you'll see in most school districts is you can't take a position on a certain candidate, right? Like we can't say, hey, we're going to back Andrea for that, as opposed to just saying, all we're looking at doing is just saying, hey, we've got these open seats, one's a 2-year, 2 4 years. This is how you give a website potentially, and maybe not the whole process, but at least a website and a phone number that people can call. Are we good with that, or do we have questions on that?
I'm fine with that. I think that's a good way
Because
to
we're being transparent that
Yeah.
way, right? Because a lot of times people don't know that this is, they might think a November election, but they don't know the timing or anything like that too, for that part, so.
I agree. I think we should help get the word out.
And that's my recommendation too, would be, because again, I think the last thing you want to happen is to people like, well, I didn't know, right? And this way, we can get the word out. And it really is, the reason why we put the board policy in there is because we wanted to show you that it's not against our policies. And like I said, we're not suggesting a certain candidate. Sorry, Andrea, I'm not
That's okay.
suggesting a certain candidate for that. So what I'm hearing is we're
Yeah.
good with doing
Yeah.
that?
Us, and yes.
Yeah, okay. Well, 3 of us are the ones that are voting. Thank you.
Thank you. Discussion, action, that's me. Consideration and acceptance of donations. Cloverdale Lions Club donated their time and services for CUSD staff barbecue and CHS senior breakfast.
I would just say, for 1 second, that was a huge undertaking. They showed up 2 different days, came out, and it was, I mean, you can imagine how much they made, right? So that was a huge, I know it's not a quote-unquote monetary donation, but that's hard to put price on that anyway, so I just wanted to make sure they
I'll
were
also
recognized.
say that the Lions Club also came and cooked for our 8th grade class day away. So,
Correct. And then
They do a
also, our staff, our kitchen staff, is the ones that prepared some of the other stuff with it. And then, you know, my staff, the district office staff also helped with putting things out. Ms. Bunting here did a lot of stuff. She likes to be recognized.
Yes, thank you.
And so, anyway, I think it's important that people understand that.
So, Cloverdale Lions Club also donated $922.30 to Washington School 5th grade. Jefferson School PTA donated $361.05 to Jefferson School 2nd grade, and Todd Lands donated $200 to Washington School 5th grade. So thank you for donations, everybody. Can I get a motion and a second to approve?
Motion to approve those donations.
Seconded.
Okay, a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And 2 trustees absent. Okay, O2, public hearing of the, I think 2025, 2027?
Yes,
Oh,
it's a
okay.
3-year thing.
Oh, got it, okay, 25, 27. Local control accountability plan and plan attachments.
So, as you know, or maybe you don't, so Andrea, so for the LCAP and the budget, we have to have public hearings in one meeting, and then we can't adopt or accept the budget or the LCAP in the same meeting that we're getting public comment. So tonight is just public comment, and this is where we'll basically discuss it. And then tomorrow would be, you know, I mean, obviously we can still answer questions tomorrow, but we're hoping to be able to answer those tonight. That way, if anything does come up where you want us to fix it or anything like that too, that we then could do that. But also keep in mind that this is just, that the budget and the LCAP really are living documents, right? So we're updating these constantly anyway, right? So, but please ask questions if you have them. Chris is going to do an amazing job explaining what's going on with her crystal ball that she's got. And, but there are some things that we want to bring to light to you guys because it's a unique situation that we're coming into this next year. A good, unique situation. But we also want to explain some things that we haven't been able to explain in the last couple of years because there hasn't been funds for that. It definitely looks rosier going into next year as far as
Okay.
financials.
Record the start time is 6:13 PM.
I just
Now
assumed she
you
already
can-
did.
Oh, okay.
But, okay, so if we could have, actually, this is me, right, with the LCAP. So the LCAP, I don't have a big presentation for the LCAP other than because it's in there. As we've talked about before, the LCAP is for 3 years, right? And so we through me, have, I feel really strongly about not changing them midstream and not moving stuff around because if we're truly going to find if we make our goals, it doesn't make any sense to me to change every single year our goals. We're never going to be able to get anywhere. So it's been relatively untouched. We have had to add a few things here and there because of different fundings and things like that too that we've had to put in. One of them, a good one would be I always forget what it's called, the block grant one, right?
Extended learning.
The LRBEBG, yeah, which is Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant. So some years we get it, some years we don't, and then we also had the other one too that we get some years and not, which was the one at JEH, right?
Yeah, the EMF, Equity Multiplier Funds.
So as you can see, so we have to update them depending on if we used them that year or didn't use them, if we got money that year or didn't have money that year. So those kind of things. I will say though that one of the things we did add going into next year that came out of the DLAC meetings were we're going to hire one more, if you guys approve the budget, we're looking to hire one more interpreter for the district. And then that would put a family liaison and interpreter at each one of the sites. So we'd be able to kind of station everybody at one site. Right now, we have kind of some traveling people. Doesn't mean they won't, because we have certain days that they might need to be used places, but the idea would be to do that. So we've added that. And then also, one of the other one of the other things that the DLAC wanted to add was another bus driver, another route. So that's also in there to be able to hire another person. Now that's a trickier one because that takes a certification, but who knows? We're going to throw it out there and see what we get. And if worse comes to worse, we can always train somebody, then hire them for that part. And the idea is that with some new housing coming on board and kind of where they're at, it's going to be kind of a tough walkable situation. And right now, with our one bus driver, we basically have kind of hub routes, right? So some kids are going to have to, like over where I'm at, by Ferber Park, everybody kind of comes in and meets in Ferber Park in that area. Where with two bus drivers, we might be able to add a few more stops so that kids don't have to go as far, or parents don't have to bring them as far for that. Because as you know, most of Cloverdale's schools are on the north side of the right? And so for that part. And then also kind of in preparation, and I know this is kind of a pie in the sky thing, and it may not happen when my lifetime, but that they're looking at putting in a permanent bridge also across
the Asti Bridge.
the Asti Bridge for River Road, right? And I could see that in the future becoming a part of a route also, potentially. Because right now, we would have to turn around, and I mean, that might take a little while to turn around a bus on River Road. So that's a possibility, you know, because you never know what could end up being out there. Even if you have a couple kids out there, it'd be easy to really make a pickup out there for that part. So those are the two main things that we've added. We've gone over kind of the LCAP from before, as far as how we're doing on the after the second year of it, as far as the metrics and the actions and such. So any questions on that? And remember, this is just the supplemental concentration funds that we have to show in the LCAP. It's not the entire budget, right? And so those are the things that are in there. Man, it's hot here. Holy cow. Okay. Yeah, that'd be great. So questions on that for that part? I know it's a huge, enormous document. Also, next year will be the last year of our current LCAP. But next year is also a rewrite for the new 3 years. So the whole process will be deeper for that part. And we have some ideas of what we're thinking about doing with that, and who could do that, because I just don't know that I could run that entire thing currently with what I'm doing. Anyway, so those are kind of things that we'll talk about. They're in the budget, actually. And so there's some things that are coming up. So questions on the LCAP per se for the people in the crowd? Because it's a public comment, period. Just ignore her. And then if you guys have any questions, it would be great. Again, we're not approving anything. We're just having the thing. Do you guys have any questions or anything? And as you can see, I mean, generally, we are making pretty good progress on most of our goals. Yes, there are some areas that aren't, but I think by and large, we're definitely making some. Maybe not the progress that we were hoping for, but I'll take any progress, right, that we can get. And again, I think it bears mentioning, too, that we're going to be making a big purchase next year into math curriculum, right? We haven't had math curriculum TK through 8. And so you can imagine that if you don't have that foundation, right, it makes things a lot more difficult. So we're really hopeful, and we're going to, this next year, we're going to pilot a couple different things, and then be able to make that decision that'll come to you, and that's also in the budget as far as where we're paying for that. And then once we get that done, looking in the future, then we're going to crank it up for ELA also, which is English Language Arts, and we've got those planned for also to be able to do that. So, and that's really where the MTSS part will come in, because we've got the structure of it, but the reaching goals part of is really hard to do without a curriculum, right? I mean, because that's really, to be able to talk about Tier 1 and Tier 2 and Tier 3 supports, you've got to have the basis of a curriculum to be able to support that. right? And so that's where we should start making some good advancements and things as well. And this is really kind of timely as far as we're talking about screen time, because we're really starting, from what I'm hearing from the principals, the staff agrees, is to go something a little bit different and not just sit in front of a screen all the time to deliver that instruction. Not instruction, but as far as the work and everything like that too. So, but again, those are discussions that we're going to start having, us kind of preempting you guys for that part. So.
No comments, questions? Can I end it at 6:20?
You can end
All
wherever
right.
you want, Board President, you.
End time, 6:20 p.m. And moving on to the public hearing of the 26-27 proposed budget.
Actually,
including-
one more thing on the LCAPs, just for formality wise. So once you guys approve it, we then upload it to SCO, and then SCO has to then read it over and approve it. In the meantime, we've been doing that already, kind of sending them what we have and things like that. So they've been checking it off but so it's the reason I'm bringing that up is so the process, we said SCO looks at it, approves it, SELPA looks at it and approves it, and then they bring, if there's any major corrections, we bring it back to you guys to approve potentially, and then we upload it to the state, basically. But it has to kind of go through that process. So don't be alarmed if it comes back and we have some changes. Most of the time it comes back if they're major changes. Most of the time if they're small changes, we just make them and then move on from that point. So kind of similar with the budget too, very similar that way. But the LCAP's a little bit more, I should say more, but a little different oversight than that part. Sorry, thank you.
That's okay. Okay. Public hearing start time is 6:22 for the 2026-27 proposed budget, including reasons for assigned and unassigned ending fund balances in excess of minimum recommended reserves.
This is backwards. It's gonna fall off.
Oh,
It's
the
backwards.
top is backwards. The lid
Yeah,
is at
the
the
top is
top, not
backwards.
at the bottom to
Okay.
hold it in place.
That's pretty funny.
gosh.
You see that? That's awesome. How did that? So someone must have took this off.
Okay, well, that's because you
I don't know
didn't,
what to tell you.
that's because you didn't need it. I needed it. Okay. All right. So let's talk about the June budget for 26-27. We're also going to talk about the multi-year projection for 27-28 and 28-29. Okay, so here are the assumptions that we used. These assumptions came from School Services of California, SCO, and the Governor's May revise. The COLA proposed for this year and the out years is 2.87. That's the statutory COLA for the current year. They've also added possibly added, it's not final yet, a super COLA of 1.44%. And that is specifically to fund some new pregnancy disability leave that they are also proposing. So that's going to be kind of a set aside. COLA then is 3.30 and 3.09 for the out years. Lottery remains pretty much unchanged. That's unrestricted lottery. We get $190 per ADA. Restricted, we get $82. CalSTRS, at this point, is flatlined. It's going to be 19.10. Just in the old days, it used to be a lot less than that, and I can remember those days. Yep. And CalPERS, I don't know. The CalPERS, the third year for 28-29, they're suggesting 25.90, but I haven't seen it go down a lot, so I'm a little suspicious about that, but we'll see how that goes. Okay, so what are some of the other assumptions that are included in the budgets? Step and column is included for the current year and the 2 out years. Negotiations are currently not settled. The routine restricted maintenance account, which we are required to make a 3% contribution to because we have accepted money from the state for our modernization projects and building projects. That amount is $725,000 for this next year. Then, and this is where it gets good, the transfers to Fund 14 for the deferred maintenance and for the $75,000 and the $100,000 for the TAC are both included, and that's the way the 25-26 budget was too. and this is by board policy that we do this. The other board policy then includes transfers to Fund 17 Special Reserve for $50,000 for technology and $60,000 for classroom furniture replacement, and they are included in the 26-27 budget and on.
So this is where, and this would be for Andrea too, but as well as everybody else. So if you remember, we had, for the last couple of years, since I've been here, we haven't been able to make those set-asides, right? And so we've presented a budget that don't have those in them. So I guess you approving that budget without a minimum is basically suspending the policy for that year, essentially, right? Because you're doing that. So we don't have, so in this budget, we haven't, we as staff don't have the ability to include it or not include it. The money's there, we include it, because we don't get to make that decision, you guys do, right? So we're trying to tell you that this is about $110,000 more than we've set aside in the last 2 years. Okay, and so, again, we are bound by it because of staff, but you are not. Does that make sense? And there's going to be more that we're going to get to in a second that we're bound by that we haven't done also.
Okay, the other big assumption is about special education funding. It has been proposed that there is going to be an increase to the base, and this has a very significant impact on Cloverdale. And right now, our contribution, well, right now, the funding we get from SCO or SELPA for special education is right around $500,000. This increase that they're proposing, if it's approved, is going to increase that by, it goes up $693,000, almost $700,000.
More than double.
Yes. So that is a huge deal, because that means then we're not making that contribution from the general fund to special ed. So that is a really big deal. Again, this hasn't been approved.
And that's ongoing, right?
Yes.
It's going to be an
Yeah.
ongoing thing.
Yep. It's ongoing, not one time. But we don't know for sure that this is going to happen yet. The SELPA and SCO said yes, included. It looks like it's going to go through, but I just want to make sure you know that's one of the risks. We're not 100% sure till everything is signed and dotted and crossed.
Right, so and again, we got to remember that Andrea's new here also, right? So what she's saying is that in California, the legislature has to pass, quote unquote, pass the budget by June 15th or they don't get paid, right? So naturally, they pass the budget every June 15th, right, by June 15th. However, when she's saying we don't know if it's going to stick, is because that's basically just a placeholder budget, basically, just so it keeps the dollars flowing, right? So what they'll do between now and probably the end of June, basically, is they're going to sit and negotiate behind closed doors to say, you know, okay, you want $1 billion for this, I want $500 million for this, and so let's do, you know, that kind of stuff. So that's what we're saying, that we don't know if it's going to stick because the legislature might want it, but the governor may not, and he's not going to sign it if it's on there, for example. So even though the quote-unquote budget's been passed by the 15th, it's not the official document yet because there's trailer bills and there's all this other stuff and else negotiating going on. So.
And the governor also has line item veto.
Correct.
On anything that he's been given too, so he can make some big changes.
And this is what, in my opinion, is completely flawed with our system. We have to do a budget for next year before it's even a budget. Does that make sense? Yeah. It's kind of like what we do with layoff notices, right, in March 15th, that are even like months ahead of before we even know what next year is going to look like, right? So if it feels backwards, it totally is backwards. But this is our statute that we have to do because we have to approve a budget by June 30th, and so we don't have a choice, right? So Go ahead.
Yep. Okay. All right. So this slide is about enrollment, average daily attendance, and funded average daily attendance. So the average daily attendance we get for students actually attending is reported every year to the county, but then we're funded off of either a 3-year average or the current year or prior year, whichever is the largest. And that's part of what we do as the local control funding formula. So this just gives you kind of a graphic to show you kind of where our enrollment is, what our ADA has been running, and then what our funded ADA is, because those are two different things, three different things.
And so the hard part for us, which you'll get into, well, let's just have you get into it, because then we'll show where the hard part is.
Okay. Okay, so on the enrollment projections then, we've broken it down by site. And one of the things that Glenn was just talking about is how we've got smaller class sizes that are coming in that are graduating. And so we've got a couple of large classes that are moving through the system and stuff, but then once they get to the end, we're kind of dropping. But we also have some new housing coming, and so we don't know what that impact's going to be. So of course, we have to make this look, I mean, it's the standard cohort method for doing enrollment, so every grade level is just bumped up one grade.
Yeah, so if you look at her slide she has up there, but in front of you for enrollment projections, right? So you see on 26-27, which is the middle column, right? Or that's this year, we know, right? So you can see that the TK, we have to kind of just assume that that's going to continue at 70. It could be 80, but we don't want to be over, right? We want to underdo it, right? And then, of course, since we don't know what 27, 28 looks like, we have to also assume that the TKers will be the same number for next year. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So that's why on 28, 29, the 70 number there looks too perfect, because that's what we're using. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So that's where we could be way off, which we hope we are, depends on the right direction.
Well, the thing is, like, if you look at our birth rate and stuff for Cloverdale and stuff, these numbers should be a lot higher.
Correct. But we just don't know. And so we talk about this, and this was a topic of discussion, and my philosophy has always been is we would rather under-promise and over-deliver than the other way around, right? Because then you're stuck. And so it's not an exact science. It's just we have to put something out there to be able to do that. So if you go back one on your slide, that'll affect these also, right? Mm-hmm. Because we could have next year, we could have 100% attendance. That's a little not. We could have 95, right? And that gets better. But we're also using those numbers from before, right? So that's going to project out worse than possibly it could be, right? But again, we don't want to under or over promise, right? And then under deliver, which would be a problem. Anyway, thanks.
Okay, thank you.
And then, of course, the CHS and WMS is easier to, because those classes we already know about them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. The high school, you can see, has got some variance and stuff just because they've got larger classes coming in and smaller classes going out, or vice versa throughout the projection for a few years. So let's talk about the other thing that Glenn was talking about that we try to do, and that is to get to the board has a requirement for a 7% reserve above the 3%. And for 26-27, and that's the committed amount there, we made it to 6.28%. So we're almost there. And then in 27-28 and 28-29, we do get to the 7%. So that, and we make the reserve for economic uncertainty of the 3%. And then we also have an assigned of this $189,000 for the first 26-27. That is the 1.44% super COLA that I mentioned earlier, that is specifically for the pregnancy disability leave.
And we have it basically calculated now that just for next year, that would basically eat up the entire amount. So even though they put it on as a COLA, it's really not a COLA. And now granted, some years we're going to have no pregnancies potentially, right? But some years we might have more than what is being funded. So those are difficult positions that the state puts us in, because people are going to think, and rightfully so, that, hey, you've got almost 2% extra money, or 1.5% extra money, which is, again, depends on your year, right, that you have it. One other thing, so the 7% she's talking about, so we have a board policy, and I can't remember what number it is, that basically says that the board wishes to have a 10% in reserve, right? And what she's talking about, the 3% the state mandates, and then the extra 7% gets us to the 10%. So since we've been here, we have not been able to, we've been hovering right around 3%. And so with this influx of special ed money and different things like that too, that, and again, if that sticks, right, that it does allow us to be able to do that. However, that by putting that, and maybe I'm stealing your thunder here,
No,
but by
okay.
putting those monies into those funds, that also takes money away from, no,
Oh.
by adding money to get to the 10%, compared to this year, and hovering around 3, takes away some of that extra 7% to be able to potentially use for negotiations and stuff like that. And again, I think that the goal of having 10% as a reserve is a great one. I think we'd love to be at 10%, but we have to be, and that's where I'm just giving you my opinion, we have to be understanding, do we want to bite that whole thing off in one chew, or do, I don't know if that's saying that right.
Yeah, or bring it back gradually,
Yeah,
or build
bring
it,
it back
or, you know, build it up,
Right.
a little bit at a time, or a certain targeted amount at a time. Right now, the way the policy is, we don't have that choice, so we try to put as much into it as we can.
And again, that's for next year,
Yep,
right?
yep. Yeah, 25, 26 is a famine year, 26, 27 is more feast. And that's the way school funding goes. Okay, so we also have to have reasons for assigned and unassigned any fund balance in excess of the minimum reserve. And because our minimum reserve is the $725,000 and we have $914,000 available, what is the difference? Well, the difference is the $189,039 that is the set aside for the super COLA with the new pregnancy disability leave requirement. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. So what's next? Well, right now we're waiting for the governor to sign the budget or do some line item vetoes or whatever it is he's going to do. He has it in his hands. And then we also have the trailer bills that Glenn mentioned that will be coming over the next 30 days. If there are major changes between the June budget and what we end up with, then we'll be coming back to you with a revision at the August board meeting. So the next thing, too, is that we're going to be starting to work on closing the books and preparing the 25-26 unaudited actuals. Do you have any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
So since there's no public, you could probably close the public hearing part.
Okay, we are going to close public hearing at 6:37 p.m.
So just say again, so tomorrow, there will be no changes, basically would just be the formality of approving, basically, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to 04, consideration and possible approval of granting an easement to Pacific Gas and Electric for a rebuild project on School Street.
Okay, so I put this on there to approve, but you'll notice that the recommendations just says it requests the board hold, nope, never mind, hold on a second, I got ahead of myself.
Request direction? Or
Yes. So let me give you a little, so you have in your packet, you have the letter that was sent to me from PG&E regarding the area that we talked about. Remember, we talked about this up on School Street, kind of by the batting cage in that corner area, right? I remember we talked about the fact that it was actually a benefit to us as far as getting rid of some boxes that are on the sidewalk, as well as some, I don't know what you would call them, like boxes in the ground with the tops to them, like the metal tops to them, and moving it all onto the grass part. The only thing that would be visible for us would be, there would be 2 vent pipes that would be sticking up out of the ground that are about 6 feet-ish, but it's way less obtrusive than it's currently there, put it that way. So I would just say from my perspective, I don't know if you guys share the 2,000 seems a little low. But it's just totally just me looking at it.
Well, when I pay my PG&E bills, yeah.
But what they've done is, and I'll get to you guys in just a second, but what they explained to me is they went out and did, I don't think I included it here, but they went out and did comps, essentially. The hard part, and they explained this to me also, the hard part is there's not a lot of bare land like we have that's zoned like we have it, right? As well as in town, most of the time, land like that might be like on River Road or something like that too, that's an agricultural rather than a commercial type land. So there's that. They also basically figure out what those different, I think they did like 5 properties, they figured out what they sold for, divided by the square footage, and come up with the number. And that's kind of what they did here. And using that logic and what they sent to me, it makes complete sense why they made $2,000. So, but the process is that they give us an offer, basically, and then we can decide to counter, say what else can you do, that sort of thing. Obviously, if we don't approve it, not necessarily right now, but we don't approve it, eventually they can't do the work. Now, I don't know what that means for us. My suggestion isn't to go there, but I don't get to make the decision on this because it would require, as you see, and that's why we put everything in there, is because we would ask you to just approve it. If you wanted to do it and go forward, we'd ask you to approve it, barring our legal to look at it, because I haven't sent it to our legal yet. But since we did one of these about 2 years ago, I think it was, Ashley, with the one down at the South property, this looks pretty similar to what we've done before, so I don't think legal would have an issue with it. But my suggestion would be is if we wanted to approve it, is that we approve it also with the caveat that we would approve it bar that I give it to legal and legal doesn't have anything significant to change, then we bring it back. So that's kind of what I've got. So any questions or comments that you guys might have?
Oh, you answered it. I was just wondering how they got their number.
The number.
And so,
And of course, it's 2 acres, but it's only that piece of the 2 acres, right? It's only like, what does it say in here, like point something of it, right? So,
Put all these tables together.
right, it's not very big. And again, they're not taking it, it's just an easement for it, right? And really what that means is we wouldn't be able to put anything over the top of it that's permanent. But where I looked and when Michael was, it's not an area that you would put anything. It's literally right next to the sidewalk, so.
I guess my question is, what they pay us for the easement, does that go to our general fund?
Yes.
Okay,
Because it's not part of the bond.
right.
Yes, that 2,000 would be just, that would be huge for us. I'd try to put us in the black. I don't, to be honest, I don't know going back to them, I don't know how much more we could squeeze necessarily. I shouldn't say that. We can get more, but is $1,000 really gonna, or 2,000 or even 3? I mean, is there, I don't know, and I don't have the history, but this is a little bit different than what we talked about at the South property. Because the easement there was for a guy wire, and a guy wire is way different than what we're currently, my opinion is, again, I think I've said it, is I think it actually benefits us even without the 2,000.
And it's
The way I
gonna
look at it,
make-
and the community.
And
really.
it's just gonna make it look better.
That's what I mean.
there,
I mean,
yeah.
have you ever seen those boxes that are on the sidewalk, right? I mean, they're,
Yeah.
it takes up probably a third of the sidewalk for that part, so. And again, this would probably be, I'm guessing, maybe a year and a half, 2 years before it even starts. I mean, that's like lightning for PG&E, right? So,
I'm fine with it. We just get the process rolling.
it's up to you guys.
I'm fine.
I mean, if we can ask for more.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
But
you can still approve it with me and then just,
Yeah.
then give me a number.
It's gonna be $500.
sounds great.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay.
And then as long as legal says it's
Yeah.
okay, then well, yeah.
Okay.
I feel like why not try to get more,
Yeah.
Totally.
you know.
Is
I
that-
would say do your best to get more.
Is that a-
but
Work-
we
work your
are okay
magic.
Moving on.
We're okay.
Second? Who's making the motion? I think,
Motion to approve?
oh, yeah, look at that.
All right.
We're-
Third-
We don't want
Yes.
to put that in the minutes.
Yeah.
That they're going to send the superintendent to negotiate a higher amount.
Yes. Okay, so we
And
have
then barring
a,
legal,
we
obviously.
have a
Right.
Barring
motion,
review.
we have a motion by trustee Kellogg to, approve the
Charge.
superintendent to
Negotiate.
negotiate. for more,
Yes.
at a higher rate.
Not my
Um,
rate, but.
And did we get a second?
I'll second.
And a second by trustee Ogamian.
Guess who's going to be the second?
Yeah, a lot of options up here right now.
Are you approving the easement, or are you just need to negotiate?
The easement also,
Okay.
Yes.
both. But also with the caveat of
Right,
having
yes.
legal.
Right.
Right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And 2 trustees absent. 05, first reading of new board policy 5141.75, weather safety.
So SB 1248, which you see on there, establishes a requirement for school districts to implement comprehensive district-wide weather safety protocols to protect students from extreme weather conditions, specifically heat-related risks during outdoor activities. So this is just a policy to say we're going to come up with a procedure that we will come up with. That hasn't been, we're kind of waiting for it to kind of get disseminated, essentially, of what needs to be on there. But we feel like the policy itself puts us towards that. So then all we have to do now is go come up with the procedure. So that kind of,
It's basically us
it
saying,
fulfills
go
it fulfills your duty, and then it comes to the staff to do that, correct? Kind of like the LCAP, right, where we create it and bring it to you guys to approve it, and then potentially any corrections you might have or certain things you might have for the goals. I like how they defined physical
Yes.
activity and what extreme weather means.
Do we have any questions or concerns with the policy?
And also remember, this is a 2-meeting process, and it can't be tomorrow. It'll be next month. So whenever there is a new board policy and not updating one, it has to be 2, because the first one has to be kind of, it's like a sunshine, right? We have to let the public know this is going to be a new policy, and they have an opportunity to be able to come next time before it's approved to be able to voice their support, concerns, anything like that. So this is a brand-new policy, so that's why it needs to be approved. So you guys are going to approve the first reading, and then we'll bring it back in July to get the second reading and approval. There's action for the first reading.
No.
All right, fantastic. We're holding the hearing. We're fluid around here. We can work things differently. Does anybody have any questions on it or anything you'd like to see added? This is strictly from our, from CSBA. That have that.
All right. Future agenda items. Anyone have any future agenda items they would like to bring forward or add to the agenda, future agendas? No. All right, future board meeting dates. We will be back here tomorrow at 6 p.m. And then we'll be back again in July for a regular, July 8th for a regular board meeting at 6 p.m. And again, August 12th for a regular board meeting at 6 p.m. Can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting at 6:48?
Motion to adjourn the meeting.
Seconded.
Okay, motion by trustee Ogamian, second by trustee Kellogg. All in favor?
Aye.
No,
Opposed?
they voted yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
opposed? And
We're
2
gonna
trustees
probably